Everything in this video is my opinion based on my own research and should be interpreted as such. Please form your own conclusions. If you have anything to add or correct, feel free to leave a comment. We're not accusing anyone of anything, but after 39 years, I believe a second look is warranted in the search for justice for Kerrie. Kerrie left her friend's party at about 11:45 p.m. We know she was waiting for Nicole, and it was unlikely she'd leave without her. Kerrie's ex-boyfriend was inside the house, and she probably wanted some space from him and the new girlfriend. So when she sees Sean, an acquaintance from school, pull up to the house, it's more interesting than hanging around the house looking lonely. I remember being that age, and you want people to know you have friends, especially if your ex is nearby. Many people have commented that Kerrie must have known the person she got in with. So that would explain that. This makes every bit of sense to me, because it's that or sit outside the house for who knows how long. Now, Sean knows that he's been through the breathalyzer checkpoint by the university twice already, so they're unlikely to pull him over again.
They were checking for alcohol. Breathalyzers.
Right.
And Sean he thought this was great. He's a new driver.
Earlier that night, Sean brought a Black Sabbath album in for the radio jockey to play. Here's the album released that year, and the track list. Sean remembers hearing one of the requested songs play on the radio around 1 a.m.
We went to the radio station and took them a Black Sabbath album.
So whatever the boys are up to, they seem to have a soundtrack. They take Kerrie through town and over the bridge, and into the campground where they broke in earlier and set up a tent. In the campground is where things went bad.
Kerrie was absolutely petrified of bridges.
At that point, Kerrie screams, and the scream is heard in the cemetery by the men drinking out there.
Him and his buddies were drinking out by the graveyard, and they heard a girl scream.
The scream prompts the attack against her, where she's probably hit with a baseball bat. If she could identify the assailants and threaten to report them, she's actually in more danger than if she doesn't know them, because they might feel they now need to kill her.
She was not good. She didn't go down without a fight either, I'll guarantee you that. She was a tough little chick.
And quite often, it's going to look like overkill.
Now, the boys are in the truck with Kerrie's body, and they know they need to get rid of it.
Got to drop this body someplace. I got to get rid of this, or otherwise I'm going to jail for the rest of my life.
Their idea is to drop the body off at the stables.
I know a place because I used to party there as a kid.
Because we were considering going out to the stables to drink.
And technically, earlier in the evening, we'd been at the horse stables.
It may also have the added advantage of looking like an accident, as if a horse kicked her or something. So I think that's the plan.
So we crept up that road to the highway with the headlights off.
However, at 1 o'clock a.m. on Friday, as they're approaching through the back road to go down the stable road and avoid the highway, Mad Max appears in the GTX and screws up the plan.
It's a beautiful fucking night.
And they have to turn on their headlights, go left down the highway. But then they turn on their blinker to turn left into McCready Campground. That prompts Max, now frustrated, to pass them on the shoulder so he can get around. Either there's oncoming traffic or he doesn't want to risk the correct pass on the left once he sees the turn signal on Sean's vehicle. But Max and his friends want to know what that van is doing because it looks weird and they know the campground is closed. So they turn around and creep through the campground and drive past the van, or in this theory, the unique truck with a cap.
We drive in there and they're camping there.
At this point, the folks in the van, or unique truck, know that the GTX has seen them. That's going to come into play later. Max and his friends decide it's odd, they obviously shouldn't be in there, so they turn around and leave. And the boys are starting to panic a bit. Leaving the campground is risky, and they would be the only ones who know Kerrie is deceased at this point. So sitting in the truck with the body is probably really stressful. Instead of sitting on their hands, they find a payphone in the campground and place a fake phone call confessing to a murder. They fake an Indigenous accent, refer to a group of First Nations men in Norway House, but never leave a name or a number and never call back. The idea is to start the police off in the wrong direction early.
I was joking to a friend. I said, I'm going to say a whole bunch of things that can be taken out of context so they can build a narrative around this.
You might remember the comment in the podcast, quote, "The ball was dropped with the Norway House call," end quote. Why might that be the case? Well, if this theory is correct, and the call was made from the campground as a distraction, then had the police traced that call back to the payphone, they would have been a lot closer to the truth. The odds of that call and confession coming in the same night that Kerrie was murdered borders on too great a coincidence to be unrelated, in my mind. And if the call was traced to the campground that had a red van that Max had a weird feeling about, that van would have been investigated. Being thoroughly spooked after running into Max earlier that evening, the boys then wait until 4 in the morning to try disposing the body a second time. Only this time they run into Donna, who's feeding her horses at the stable.
It was a darker color van, and it had little windows on the sides.
When that plan again fails, they drive up the road and drop the body about a kilometer away, frantically taking everything out of the vehicle that might give them traction and leaving it there because it's dark and they just want to get away from the body.
So at the time, somewhere along this road is where the vehicle had trouble getting out. They got stuck.
Once the truck is out of the mud, nobody wants to go back and collect the mattress or floor mat. After getting unstuck, the boys drive into town.
After school, I was working at Hillcrest Car Wash.
There was no school that Friday.
You might recall from the first video that we don't know where Sean was during the day on Friday. He claims he was at school. Of course, there was no school. Now, in the evening, he was at the car wash. You might recall from the podcast that Patrick Sumner was accused of washing his car and that having looked suspicious, a claim which Patrick denies. Here's Patrick's notes written into a newspaper article. But of course, Sean is not expected to defend this action of being at the car wash at all. I think over the following days, Sean pays close attention to what the police and the public know.
I'm talking to Craig Jordan at the radio station. He called me, or maybe I called him for some unrelated reason, but I think maybe he called me.
Once he learns that the body's been found.
And so then the news starts to break that Kerrie Brown's been found dead. They think the murder occurred this night, which was the night she went missing.
He knows that the GTX had seen him that night and that he's going to have to point the finger first. So he does exactly that. And then the entire case against Patrick Sumner unfolds, when that entire case is simply built on Sean's statement. And if Sean had anything to do with this murder, clearly this is a genius move. Clearly saved him from scrutiny. But the GTX is also a bit of a problem because it has Sean in the campground having broken in. And some kids trespassing in the campground isn't the first thing on the police's radar right now, but it might be later. And so Sean needs to deal with this GTX. And so he conveniently finds a brown car.
Now, one thing that would come to pass was that I got the color of the vehicle wrong.
With a fellow with an indigenous sounding or First Nations sounding last name, which plays nicely into the fake Norway call.
Is that real or is that mythology? It seems pretty real to me.
And so that may be why the car changed after the fact, because the GTX, though a get out of jail free card, was also a problem.
And I don't even know what the narrative is anymore.
Okay, so if we can make this list and we can make this map, obviously the police have a better list and a better map and they've already looked into this, right? Well, that's where the concern is for me, is that doesn't appear that they took DNA from these men until the late 90s, where they had taken Patrick's DNA in the 80s. And we know that DNA science developed during that time. But the fact that nobody was approached for DNA makes me feel like they weren't on the short list of suspects.
You have to go back to square one and go, what are we missing?
1999, they were trying to reopen the case, and the police came to my door and asked for blood and DNA samples, and I gave them.
You know, and it's been in the media that DNA evidence has indicated two people that have committed a sexual assault. It doesn't say that those two people committed the murder. It just says somebody committed a sexual assault, or two people. We have more clarity now, okay? We have more clarity because DNA is advanced. And we're starting to see the picture starting to unfold and going, okay.
Which means a lot of time had passed between the murder and when this DNA was taken. I'm guessing a detective came into the Thompson detachment and asked to see the list of people that they'd eliminated as suspects.
Well, my involvement came many years later. It's more from a review perspective on investigative strategies and things we can do or possibly could be doing.
And they would have been able to say only Patrick Sumner by the looks of it. And that's a huge problem because of who you have in the area when this occurred and what they were doing with their lights off, right?
You have to go back to square one and go, what are we missing?
We're out playing vehicle tag, and I had the red truck, and I don't remember what the other car was.
So for argument's sake, where was Patrick Sumner during all of this? Well, if you want my opinion, he was probably at home like he said he was, only he was watching NHL, where the Winnipeg Jets, which probably would have been his team, it's the closest city to him, in his home province, went into overtime against the Hartford Whalers. And I think that was confused with a baseball game that went into extra innings later, because that's how your memory works when you're actually innocent. What you can do, share this video, like this video, comment your feedback or anything I missed or anything else you discover after this, watching this video. I mean, there's so much that I missed in here. Thank you guys for watching, and let's hope that the Brown family can see justice this year.
Well, it's about time something happened. Every year I wonder if something's gonna happen. It's been a long road.